Hey y'all, it's Kate from the Little Apothecary and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a book review for you guys about The Garden Gnome by Jeff McIntyre. Now I'm going to do this one a little bit different than I've done my reviews in the past, and I want you guys to let me know in the comments below if you liked this format, if you didn't like it, what did you like about it or not like about it. Let me know in the comments below. So this spoiler-free review, it'll be in kind of two parts. I'll first give you my spoiler-free summary of the book as I usually do, and then I'm going to go quickly through each one of the call pile categories and kind of give you highlights from my written review. If you want to see this review in extension, I add in a lot more details, including quotes that I've pulled out from this book. You can find that on my blog, which is linked down in the description below. So The Garden Gnome by Jeff McIntyre. This is book 1 in the series. This was a debut novel and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. When I looked at the cover of this book, I thought that looks like a super cute, cozy book, and I can't wait to dive into this gnome because it has the gnome straight on the cover, and Bob the Gnome is absolutely fantastic. So I went into this book. I didn't really read the description much. I like to try to go in as blind as I can. This is both cozy and wild, endearing and epic in nature. It was a fantasy with multiple point of views, and I'll get to that in just a second. Plus, I forget a lot of things before I get to read the book, but I didn't really know anything about it other than the cover looked like a super cute, cozy book. Diving into it was still cozy in a sense, like in its own way, but it was so much more than just a cozy book. There were dark times, there were tense times. It wasn't all cozy, but it did have like a general underlying feeling of coziness, if that makes any sense. If you've read The Garden Gnome before, you know what I'm talking about. It's a fantasy book, almost like an urban fantasy book with multiple point of views. Our points of views include the Fitzroys, whose son Tony is bullied at school and he's got an imaginary friend. Leo Schaefer, who is reporting on new and powerful particular accelerator experiment and protests. Don't worry, that whole science bit went completely over my head and I still enjoyed it tremendously, so you don't need to understand the science in order to enjoy this book. FBI Special Agent Deborah Kasdan, who's investigating these said protests and trying to stop them from interfering. Basically trying to do her job just like we all are. And we have Brian Cook, who has been inducted into a secret society, who knows the truth about magic and will stop at nothing to keep it from returning. So for my call pile breakdown, I'm gonna go through this really quickly. So for characters, I gave this an 8 out of 10. I thought they were unique and different. They felt both commonplace and everyday people, but with magic. And it was just a unique combination of the two. The atmosphere and setting, this one I gave 6.5 out of 10. It was set in a real world with a magical story. And so it felt almost like an urban fantasy-esque book. Our setting was great. I could see everything happening. Our atmosphere was a little bit lacking for me. At times it felt a little too cozy and I needed to feel more danger in certain situations. Our writing style, I gave 7.5 out of 10. It had a slow start, but once the pieces came together, then it sped up dramatically. It was a bit episodical to me where each chapter felt like an episode on TV, but I will talk a little bit more about the slow start in a minute. The plot I gave 7 out of 10. The first half, I had no idea how any of this was going to come together. Basically, we just had these separate points of views all separated from each other. There was no real big connection between the two. And then as we started progressing, some of the points of view started coming together. And then as we got further and further on, they got more and more together and it started to make sense about halfway through, and that's when it really picked up. Intrigue, I gave 8 out of 10. I had so many questions reading this book, not only about the science stuff, but about other stuff going on too. And I felt like and this I'm going to link back to our slow start, I felt like McIntyre using the first half to kind of set the stage, get us the main characters, get us the main players, have them all start to mingle slowly throughout. It extended the intrigue for me. I felt like without that kind of writing style, the intrigue would have died off a lot faster and made it less enjoyable for me. Logic and relationships, I gave a 6.5 out of 10. So for logic, I don't think that's really the right word for this book. Kind of in its own way, it was logical. It made sense, but also so many questions. Relationships, however, some were done well. Others felt a bit forced or like they happened off the page and we just heard about them on the page. I would have liked to seen more of those develop throughout the book instead of just, oh, bam, here's our relationship with these two characters. But the ones that were done well were done really, really, really well. So kudos on that. And then our final category, enjoyment, I gave 7.5 out of 10. I enjoyed it despite this slow start. Like I said, it felt really slow to me at first, but when I look back on it now after finishing it, I felt like the slow start kind of fit the story that was being told. So that gives us a total of 51 divided by 7 equals 7.2, which converts over to about 4 stars. I really enjoyed Garden Gnome, and I have a short novella, short story about Bob the Gnome that I'm excited to put into rotation, and I can't wait to read more of this series by Jeff McIntyre. If you've read the Garden Gnome before, let me know in the comments below. What did you think of it? Did you love it like I did? Did you not love it? Who was your favorite character? I loved Bob the Gnome so much. He needs to be protected at all costs. Also, let me know in the comments below, like I said at the beginning, what did you think of this review format? I'm still trying to find that right perfect format. I kind of really like the one that I do before where I just talk about the highlights and the lowlights essentially, but I felt like it didn't do the books justice enough just talking about those 2 categories. So I wanted to try out talking about all 7 of our categories. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. As always, keep reading, and I love you all to the moon and back.